Hey everyone, Jamie Kindred here, your Public Relations Director for the City of Hondo. Thank you so much for tuning in this afternoon. This is a very exciting day for the city. If you have been following along with us the past few years, maybe you've tuned in to see our show, Get to Know Hondo. We had so much fun making that show, getting to know some of our executive leaders here in the city, and just really getting to know what they do and then getting to know them a little bit. So now we are morphing into something that's a little bit more laid back, a little bit more fun. Leaders and Locals. This is our very first podcast of Leaders and Locals. And what you're going to see in the coming months is our city manager, John Naron, and I sitting down with local organizations, local businesses. Maybe we'll get some city leaders from some surrounding towns. Maybe if we're lucky enough to get some of our county officials to come in, some of our vendors. We wanted to do this as a way to let you have kind of a behind the scenes look at the work that we're doing in the city. We really want to include our community in everything that we do. And I have to say, first of all, John Naron, thank you so much for being here. Our city manager, John Naron, has been such a huge asset for our city. If you haven't met him yet, I'm sure that you will very soon. For those of you who don't live in our city, city managers are not really well known for agreeing to do things like this. So I'm so incredibly grateful that you said yes and you are indulging me. He loves to be involved, and we love having him involved, and you're going to see him out and about if you haven't already. So thank you, John, for doing this for me and with me, because for so long I've been doing it by myself. So, and John's brain is a little bit like mine, and it's a little bit frightening sometimes. So part of Leaders and Locals is we're going to have fun. So I hope that you're ready to have some fun with us. I am very excited to introduce our very first guest, Kent Nobis. I almost said Norbis. Yeah. I don't know why I always want to put an R in there. Do other people do that too?
No, you're the only one.
Okay, well, I apologize. Kent is the Regional Director for Holbrook Asphalt. We have an exciting project coming up, and we're going to tell you all about that project. Actually, Kent's going to tell you all about that project. I'm going to ask him a million questions. It's going to be a ton of fun. So first and foremost, thank you so much for being here. I know you had to travel quite a ways to be here, but I know that this is a very important project to you, just as it is to our city. So without further ado, we will get started. So first of all, tell me a little bit about you. Who is Holbrook Asphalt, and what are we doing here?
Excellent, very good. Again, my name's Kent Nobis. I'm the Regional Director for Holbrook Asphalt, and Holbrook Asphalt's been in business for over 20 years. Mm-hmm. I personally have lived here in Texas now almost going on 8 years, and I work with multiple cities all throughout Texas. In fact, 62 to be exact. Here in Texas. And so we provide asset payment strategies to the cities that we work with, and that's what we're going to talk a little about today, is what are we doing here in Hondo, and how are we going to utilize a product called HA5. Mm-hmm. And so yeah.
I love it.
Excellent.
I know that you're made of questions right now, so I'm so you go right ahead. I think probably we'll start off with, so how did we get here? How did we get to this point, John, and what exactly is it that we're doing?
So last year, the council approved a 2-course chip seal, and the chip seal went down on I want to say it's over 14 miles of streets. Mm-hmm. They put it down. It did exactly what it's supposed to do. From my understanding, we milled the sides of the road. We stabilized a few areas, put the chip seal down. Now we need to look at preserving what we did, and that's kind of where HA5 comes in. Pavement strategies, just as Kent was talking about, they're very important. We spend quite a bit of money on roads, mm-hmm. Very expensive, and we needed to look for a product that would, number one, keep the aggregate, so the rocks, small rocks and things like that, from chipping away over time, keep the dust down. In this case, it'll be non-existent, and then most importantly, keep the water from penetrating through the asphalt or through the road, through the chip seal in this case, because water is the enemy of streets.
Sure.
you will wear down your street, and that's where you get your potholes and everything else. And that's why we look to HA5 as a potential solution, or a solution that will help us. We'll come back over these streets that we chip sealed. It'll be a nice black coating, and it will protect our streets for 5 or more years until we can address it, or put another layer of HA5 on, depending on the condition of the street.
Okay, so for like lay people like myself, I don't understand streets. I love to drive on them, and that's about the extent of it. But this sounds to me like a product that is kind of a blanket over the existing asphalt or chip seal or whatever it is that's down that protects it, no?
Yes, you are correct. In fact, in the preservation industry, there's multiple tools that you can deploy as you try to do your street maintenance. The high density mineral bond is the specification that the APWA gave it many years ago. The brand name is HA5.
Okay.
And so there's kind of a differentiation there, but you'll hear both those names in the market. But it's unique in that it's an emulsion, very unique in that it's a non-ionic emulsion, and what that means is it's very neutral on the pH scale. Okay. So what we can do is we can suspend the emulsion, and we can introduce lightweight aggregates in it, which provide the durability and the performance. Okay. But also we have specific, like John mentioned, the two biggest enemies, and we're going to focus this strategy on your residential streets here in Hondo. And it's the water intrusion, and it's the UV. Of course, we have oxygen too that causes problems with the asphalt. But your two biggest enemies are your water intrusion and your UV that penetrate against that binder, and then it causes problems with elasticity, loss of the binder. And so that's what HA5. I'm excited about, what I've looked at here in Hondo and the condition of the chip seal, is that we will apply the HA5 over it, and it creates an impermeable membrane that'll deflect that water, so will not cause the water to permeate through the asphalt anymore, which will preserve that for years to come. And then, of course, it will help with the UV rays also, to help with the flexibility of the binder. So yeah.
Kent, can you give a few examples of other cities that have used this?
Yeah, like I mentioned, I work with multiple cities all throughout Texas. A lot of them have deployed this. What I've seen with cities that I work with that deploy HA5, there are streets all over, from the Panhandle, Amarillo, for example. They've done a lot of preservation work up in that area, and to let you know, a lot over chip seal, all the way from West Texas out in Midland and Odessa. And Abilene is another user of this particular product, all throughout the DFW Metroplex, so Dallas, Fort Worth, and all the other cities in between. You come down into Central Texas, you've got Georgetown, Round Rock, Pflugerville, some very growing cities that people are moving kind of out of Austin, and they're going into these other communities. And what the mindset there is a lot of these newer neighborhoods that are being built, if they don't pay attention to their good roads, and they don't maintain them, then they're going to spend an immense amount of money long-term paying for those roads. So John and I have talked quite a bit that right now here in Texas, to rebuild 1 lane mile of road costs $1.2 million.
Oh my goodness.
So think about that. We're looking at 14 miles of roadway here, right? So if we didn't do anything, we would spend $14 million if we just ignored it.
Wow.
So that's what we're talking about, of how we can save taxpayer dollars here. It's very important.
And then Kent makes a great point, and it's difficult to do in city government, especially in smaller cities, because you must consistently focus on your streets. Yeah. And you have to budget every single year. And this is one thing that my council has asked me to focus on. They're like, hey, John, we need to make sure that we continuously improve the streets, And this is part of that. I mean, HA5 is a tool that we have in our toolbox. There will be some times where we'll have a street. I'll give Bernie as an example. Bernie was a street.
Bernie Avenue, yes.
Bernie Avenue that could not be recovered. So we had to do a completely mill, replace, and then put asphalt on it. It's very expensive to do that. And again, you can't do that to miles of streets or you'll run out of money.
Sure.
So, but what we can do is we can take the streets that are at an acceptable level of wear and then put HA5 on them, bringing them up, a few points, if you will, and then we're good to go. We're good to go for down the road. So that's one of the things that staff is working on, is to create kind of an SOP, if you will, for our streets moving forward. And HA5 is going to be an important part of that. We'll use chip seal, we'll use asphalt, and we'll do whatever we need to do to keep the roads from getting worse. And then at the same time, internally, in-house, we're looking at doing a little bit of asphalt ourselves, a little bit of paving to take care of some of these sides of the streets that you see that have deteriorated quite bad.
So you touched on something that has been running through my brain, because we look at these maps and let's see, do I have it upside down? I do. And I was curious as to why we're only doing certain roads, and you answered that for me. It's because these roads are the ones that are in the best position or condition to be able to do this too at this time, correct?
That's right.
Okay, because I was thinking that's probably one of the biggest questions that a lot of our citizens will have is, why are you choosing just these particular places? So that makes good sense, and then you make a plan of action to move forward with the rest.
Exactly.
I love it. And speaking of these maps, so starting tomorrow, you're going to see all of this marketing information, not only right here on our Facebook page, but also on our website. You'll have these maps for the north and the south side,
That's
correct?
right.
And I have a QR code also that Kent was so kind to give me that will have all the information for you as well
Yeah.
as we move forward. So let's talk about dates. When are we starting all of this fun stuff?
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the project. So we've got a tentative start date of July 8th, which is a Monday. And the project will be a total of almost 30 days. So mid-August is when we should complete the project. We have a dedicated project website for the city, for your residents. And they can go to that anytime, and they'll get live updates of the project. If there's a weather delay, for example, they'll be notified through the website. Also, Jimmy, you've got there, we can talk a little bit about that other document there. 48 hours before we would close one of the streets, every citizen here in Hondo will get I call them a door hanger,
Right.
a citizen notification. And on that notification, it'll be in English and Spanish.
Thank you.
And it has a lot of great information. It has the QR code on it that they can go to the project website. It's got some key information about why is my road being closed, in the event of a weather delay, cancellation, what happens. And let's talk a little bit about that, maybe on a weather cancellation. So
Yeah, definitely.
if you get this notice, and let's say you're on let's say Avenue K, for example, and what will happen is if it rains that day, that project or that street closure will get pushed to the back of the project.
Okay.
So we have a rolling notification process that every 48 hours we're notifying different streets throughout the whole project. And so you'll be able to see any weather delays or problems that way of how we do that.
So it won't just get pushed to the next day, it gets pushed to the
back of the
end.
project.
Okay.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
And then they'll also receive another flyer if there's a weather delay when we do that street at the end of the project, 48 hours in advance.
Wonderful.
yeah.
So obviously there are several people working on this project.
Yes, there are.
It's not a shoestring
Yeah.
crew.
Yes.
If you've got people who are here who are going to be able to notify our citizens of changes and those types of
Exactly,
things.
yep.
Wonderful. I love it. And then, of course, the QR codes.
Yep.
And we'll have those links. We'll have the QR code as well as links on our website and, of course, on our Facebook page as well.
Can you, and I apologize for interrupting there, can you talk a little bit about how you're going to be inconvenienced?
Sure.
I want to just tell everybody that right now. Your block, when it's being done, you are going to experience there's a little bit of pain there. You're not going to be able to, you got to move your car out and things like that. Can you talk to them
Yes.
about that?
Yes.
How are they going to be inconvenienced? How long?
Yeah.
And then
That's
expand on that.
Yeah,
that's
no,
a
great question.
yeah, very good question. So when we do our street closures, on the map, everything's color coded. So you can see that we'll start with the red day, for example. So all the residents on the first day at 7 a.m. is when we'll set up the traffic control for the street closure. They'll have about an hour or so to get in and out of their driveways. And then that evening is when we'll open it back up. The target date is to open these streets back up at 7 p.m., okay? So they'll be able to come back in their driveways, park their cars in their garages, etc. Then that next day, we'll repeat the same process again, okay? And then we'll be out of their hair, okay? So it's kind of a 2-day process from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And that's kind of the inconvenience. Now, let's say you've got, I know Jamie, we talked a little bit about in the event of, I've got a package coming from Amazon, right?
Those are important
You know
details.
what I mean? What's going to happen? So to let you know, just put your mind at ease. Our team, we have a whole project management team that has been reaching out to FedEx, Amazon, UPS. We've talked to the Hondo ISD. We are talking to your trash service provider, STRD Inc.
Yep.
His name is Blake, by the way, great guy. Another key thing you probably see in Hondo, you guys have a broadband project going on. And I've been working very closely with them. In fact, you two don't even know this, but they are 95% complete. They will not interrupt anything on the start of our project. And so they're going to be out of our hair, so that will not be a problem or a conflict. And I've had great communication with that company, actually.
Awesome.
The
That's
audience
good.
can see my face right now.
I do, but I was hoping you would be happy to hear that there won't be a conflict with that.
I love
Yeah,
95%.
95 sounds good.
Yeah, yep.
It couldn't come
In
sooner.
fact, their project manager let me know actually yesterday that they'll be complete this Friday. So,
Awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yep.
wonderful. Thank you for
Yeah.
tying that up for us. We
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
We've been waiting to hear that for a while.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we know that there's lots of growing pains with things like that, and it's just all part of it. It's just when you're walking through it, some days are much more difficult than others, right? But
One other key thing that's important for the Hondo residents to realize is that if they have a problem or there's something they're struggling with, there's going to be a name on the bottom of the citizen notification, and they can call that number anytime, and he can be very responsive and take care of their needs.
I
So,
love that. Thank you for putting that out there, because a lot of times projects get started and something does come up and nobody knows who to contact, who to reach out to, and you feel like you're kind of out here alone battling by yourself. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for that. Speaking of trash, I know that's probably something that our citizens have thought of. How does that
Yes,
work?
very good question. So as we've communicated with Blake at STRD, your trash provider, if you do live on a street where it's trash day, on the notification you receive, you'll see a little guy with a trash can that'll tell you to have your trash can out in the evening. Okay, so by 7 a.m. the next day, they're going to come through that area and they will do the sanitation pickup
Oh, before 7.
before 7 a.m.
So there shouldn't be an interruption?
So just for residents, please have your trash out before 7 a.m., usually the night before, and then everything will be taken care of. And we're working with Blake to have his team come in and dump the trash before 7 a.m. Nice.
I love it.
Kent, can you talk to us about how messy it is? Because it is, I'm assuming people may be worried about, is this going to get on my car? Is it like tar? Is it going to get all over my garden gnome that I have by the street?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah,
Very good
I
question.
would be mad.
So to put your mind at ease, one of the things that we pride ourselves on is our workmanship. You'll notice as we work on your streets that we actually, on all your concrete valley gutters, for example, you're going to see carpet. And you're like, why are we using carpet? On your manhole covers, you're going to see carpet. When we do, I call them basically cutting in the edges of the street. So between the curb and the asphalt, that joint right there, We have a running board that we apply right up to it, so there will be no overspray onto any sidewalks or curb and gutter.
Nice.
Now, granted, some of these streets don't have some of the curb and gutter, but again, we're very clean in our operation, and so I don't think there's going to be a lot of problems. But sometimes we do, right? This equipment we use has a very high pressure type piece of equipment to it. Sometimes a line will bust, but we're very quick to resolve those kind of problems.
Sure.
But so, yeah.
Something that I think that we discussed weeks ago was what happens if I have a vehicle that I can't move?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we actually had a pre-construction meeting with multiple staff members here in Hondo, and one of them was your code enforcement officer, and he's been busy driving these streets and identifying any abandoned vehicles. So we're trying to address all those issues before we start the project. Now, if there is a problem where when we close a street and we can't get a car moved, the process is to call PD.
Okay.
Your chief of police, he's amazing, Justin Swartza, by the way, great guy, and your lieutenant, his name is AJ Garza. And we will call PD. They will come out. They'll run the tag. They'll do everything in their power to get the car moved. And if they can't, then there's a couple of local towing companies here that will take care of that. So,
Okay.
Awesome.
yeah.
It's unfortunate. We don't want to tow anybody's vehicle, but at the same time, we've got a street project. We must go on.
Yeah. And the great thing about this project is, and this is what I'm getting, is you're in there 2 days and you're out
Right.
of everybody's hair, everybody's way. And the only way to do that is to get all of these things lined up in such a way that everything just happens simultaneously.
Right. Yeah.
Otherwise, you could be forever on somebody's street and then they really get irritated and
Right.
frustrated and
Right.
all the other aideds.
Can you talk a little bit about the warranty of the product? You call it HA5 for a reason.
So yeah, that's great. So as I referenced, the specification is called the high density mineral bond, but the brand name is called HA5. It actually stands for whole brick asphalt, 5 years. So this is great news. John's worked really hard on this with me, but you're getting the parent contractor that actually started this over 20 years ago coming to your community.
Wow.
So you're getting the experts, I would say, that are coming into your community to apply this material. So,
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the? So you guys are doing some kind of a donation.
Yeah.
To our Sunset Park.
yeah. So one thing I felt would be a great thing for the community is that you've got a great park, and you guys did some maintenance to it, and you guys just recently did some crack sealing to it. And just to help beautify that area, one thing that we're going to do is we're going to come in and apply HA5 on that trailway for you guys to help beautify that. And
I love
There's a
that.
walking trail on
Yeah.
Sunset Park.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the track that goes around the park. Lots of people walk that track.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And I think it's neat. I mean, there, in the last city council meeting I attended, it was presented there was going to be a basketball court, a refurbishment, and that looks wonderful, by the way. It looks great, and I think by adding the trail with having HA5 on that, it'll be a lot more beautiful, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So,
I'm just throwing out questions here that I think the audience would like to know. I kind of nerd out on this stuff all the time. That's why I'm a city manager. But can you talk a little bit about so it is the one. It's a good thing about HA5 that I like because, like I said, I've visited other communities with the product. So one of the things I noticed that it stays black for a long time, so it almost looks like new asphalt in a way. I spoke to I can't remember if it was San Angelo or one of the other. I actually called public works directors in several communities as well, and he said that sometimes the citizens would say, "Hey, when am I going to get HA5? My road's great," and they kind of, because asphalt after a while, of course, turns gray, like you see in Veterans Boulevard. You can tell that's older asphalt that's been there for a long time, and so what would you say because it is black? Would you say it's a hotter product, or is it going to make the streets more hot?
No.
You said it protects from the UV.
Right.
What do you think about that?
So very interesting when you think about heat retention in asphalt, what we're doing actually is providing an impermeable membrane over the asphalt, and we're deflecting those UV rays, right? So we actually we're mitigating that heat retention. And so actually your streets are going to be cooler because of this product, because you don't have the heat penetrating in the asphalt, radiating that heat. So we're deflecting it and mitigating it that way. There was a study done. We did a project in Rockland, California, where the APWA chapter did a study on HA5 and its heat retention and so on. So anyhow, I think there's some added value and benefit there also.
Okay, outstanding. That was cool. I mean, that'll help in that little walking trail on Sunset Park. Maybe it won't be quite as
it'll be so
hot.
nice.
Yeah.
That'll be really, really great.
Yeah.
And just add to some of the improvements that we've already made there. I love it. We're slowly moving in such a wonderful direction, and I think adding this and all of these streets is really, you're going to have calls pretty soon where people are going to say, when do I get HA5 on my street? Yeah.
And you know, that's a good point. You know, one of the things I do want to say is that, you know, I can understand when you walk out and, you know, you see your street, that's your highest priority because you're the one going through the pothole or you know, you're the one that, you know, you see it every single day. So I understand and trust me, if we had the budget, you know, if we could, I would love to just do all the streets at once. But when we chose these streets, there were several things to keep in mind. You know, the traffic count, the condition of the road, like we had mentioned. You know, those two particulars right there, they really prioritize the particular streets for us. So we keep all of that in mind, and you know, we are creating a plan. We are, you know, the council has told me that they want to, you know, focus on streets, and so yearly we're going to put more into this. So you'll see this happen. This isn't just a once every 10-year thing. Every year we're going to work on the streets. Every summer. Summer is the time when you work on streets.
That seems so strange.
Yeah, so we'll, you know, we have to constantly do it and constantly keep up with it. And eventually we'll catch up. But Rome wasn't built in a day. So, you know, it's going to take some time. So please be patient with us. But I do get paid to get yelled at. So if you have a particular pothole that you're mad about, feel free to vent your frustrations on me. I will listen to you. You can call me. I'll even come out and look at it. And but we're going to do our best to serve you and provide the level of service that you deserve, and at the same time, it's just going to take time and planning.
You know, if I could interject one thing too, John, what I've really appreciated working with you, your staff, the mayor, the city council, is that we've analyzed not only price, but we've analyzed pavement extension of really what it's doing to the pavement to extend the life of that pavement, but also public acceptance. How is the public going to accept this? And our team's working really hard, as you can see through our communication plan, the marketing strategies that we're deploying with Jamie and her team to get the word out there. So it's a good experience for everybody. We want it to be a good experience. So it's important that the public understands it. And so that's why I appreciate being here today, to make sure the word gets out and it's a good experience.
Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
I love it. And so just to reiterate, 48 hours ahead.
48 hours.
You'll get something that looks like this on your door or in your mailbox. Will it be on the door?
It'll be on the door,
sure?
on the door of the garage door.
And it answers so many questions that you might already have. And you like to do this 48 hours ahead of time, just so that people are ready. If you do it too far ahead in advance,
forget about it.
Yeah, they forget.
Forget about it.
I'm guilty of that. Also, just so you know, like I said earlier, starting tomorrow, everything will be on our Facebook page as well as our website. So if you go to either of those places and you have a question that isn't answered there, please feel free to reach out to us. We're more than happy to visit with you on the phone. John visits with everyone who wants to come in and visit with him. I'm happy to visit with you. I know, Kent, you are open for all kinds of questions as well. We want this project to be something that that you will want to come back again next year. We are already very proud of this project and we can't wait to get started, but we want you to feel very comfortable moving forward and moving at this quick pace as well. It's going to be great. In the heat of summer, I don't get it, but whatever. I'm like, what's wrong with fall? But yeah, y'all are the the science people who understand asphalt and pavement and chip seal and
All that stuff.
all of that good stuff.
Can I talk about curb a little bit?
Please go right ahead.
Curbs and gutter are another thing that we get a lot of comments about. So I do want to say this: there was curb put in the city, many years ago, and it was placed there for aesthetic purposes only. You see several curbs that are like this, and the water pools here. The whole idea of the curb and gutter is to channel the water to a storm drain. We don't have many storm drains in the city, so we've identified that as a problem. So the solution, we've actually got a grant through TDM, and Friesen Nichols will be working on a drainage study. So once we do this drainage study, we'll have a better idea of where we need to put our storm drains. And then once we put in our storm drains, all of this is going to take time. We'll be able to place curb and gutter strategically so that we can get the water, which from our talks we've learned today that water is the enemy of streets and asphalt. We can channel this water to where it's supposed to go. So again, all of this is going to take time, but we are moving in that direction. So we've identified the problem, we've got the funding for a solution, and then we'll have to, we just need the time now.
Yeah, and patience.
And patience.
I can
That's a
speak
tough
to
one.
I can speak to that a little bit. I take my hat off to you, John, on this because just last week I was with the city and they brought me out and they were reconstructing roads and they were so excited to show me what they were doing on reconstructing their roads. And when you build a road, you should have a 2% crown, right, to help with that drainage.
Okay.
And what was happening is they had inverted the road.
Oh no.
And their drainage was non-existent either. And so I'm like, I hate to tell you guys this, but as a steward of taxpayer dollars that I'm very passionate about, I told them to stop building these roads until they figure out their drainage and they get a correct design on a 2% crown. So I take my hat off to you because water is one of the biggest enemies. And so great thing you're doing there.
Well, it's we're excited about it, and another thing too, and this is kind of cool. Like I said, I nerd out on this stuff. Sorry, but Veterans Boulevard is actually a 22-year-old street, I believe. Am I saying that right? Veterans Boulevard.
Yes.
Or Veterans. Okay.
Yeah.
Veterans Boulevard is a roughly 22-year-old street, and it still looks okay. So the drainage is correct there. That's good.
Yeah.
And the we're putting HA5 on it, which we look to extend the life of that street because it is in fairly good condition. So we are doing that. We're putting the HA5 on it, and then we're going to come back and we're going to redo the markings. Which if you've tried to go to Walmart in that area and TXN
Are you almost
Bank,
gotten a wreck at Bill Miller?
Yeah. So we'll be those will be fresh markings, so everybody will kind of know what direction they're supposed to go. So we're excited about not only extending the life of the asphalt that's there, because again that'll save us quite a bit of money, but also putting the markings down so everybody can be directed safely.
Nice, because it is very hard to see right there. For someone like me who travels that road all the time, you don't notice it. But if you're new to this area and you pull off of 90 and you're trying to get into Bill Miller right there, it's very easy to get in an
confused.
accident.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe, I appreciate you bringing that up because, like you said, part of this project is not only Veterans Boulevard leading into Walmart, but also 22nd Street and also Menifee Street, where Tractor Supply is and some of these other retail businesses. So all of that will get redone with new pavement markings, and that's going to be a great part of the project. But to let the public know, just those first few days we're going to be in that area, it's going to be a little bit of inconvenience, but we'll have traffic control there to provide safety and get people around in a safe manner.
Yep. And I'm just going to say it again. I love that one of the most important things is getting in, getting the work done, and getting out.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there have been so many times we have projects where it seems like they just go on forever and ever in one place, right? And it becomes such a traffic issue. And I love this. 7 to 7, 48 hours, and gone.
Yeah, no offense to TxDOT, but we're not trying to be like TxDOT.
I don't know what that means. I have no part of any of that. Okay,
We love you, Text Tot. But
so 48 hours beforehand, you'll get something on your door. Starting tomorrow, you'll be able to scan the QR code. You'll be able to look at these maps, so you'll know dates.
Yes. Another key thing too is if you click on that QR code, you're going to go to the Hondo Project website. There is a video on that website of a gentleman talking all about the closure process.
Nice.
It's a great video that you can watch that really educates you about this whole process we've talked about today. So
Okay, great.
that'll be another great thing. So
Yeah, and that gives me an idea. I think another thing I'll do is, I think I printed out that QR code and I'll put it at City Hall in utilities, because we've already had people come in asking about this project.
excellent.
So they can just scan that QR code, watch the video, and hopefully that will answer a lot of their questions. And if it doesn't, then we're more than happy to help them. I love it. This is going to be great. Can you do all our projects?
Sure, bring it on. Yeah.
Can you build buildings and
Yeah.
other infrastructure? And
Yeah. I've never built a building out of HA5. I wonder if it's possible.
if it makes it cooler, we might have to.
Yeah, you put on the roof
I
maybe.
was going to say,
Maybe we need to put HA5 on the roof.
There we go.
I love it.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions, John?
No, I don't.
I was going to tell all of you, if you do have questions, feel free to go ahead and put them in the comments. We don't normally open up our Facebook comments for back and forth, but I'll go through those comments if we haven't already answered your questions, and I can reach out to you personally and help get those questions answered, only because we want you to feel very comfortable moving into this project. So I did want to mention that as well. Are y'all ready to have some fun, or do we want to talk more science and roads and weird stuff?
Hey,
Let's go for some fun.
let's go for some fun.
Okay, I have a speed test for you
Oh,
if you're
no.
ready.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Okay.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Cats or dogs?
Neither.
Oh,
Just kidding. Dogs. Sorry. Dogs.
sunset, sunrise,
Sunset.
coffee or tea?
Neither.
Favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Christmas. Favorite
Yeah.
color? Here we go.
Purple. I don't know. As you
Purple.
can see, I'm wearing purple. John's wearing purple, but
Got the memo.
Jamie didn't get the. I don't know what happened to Jamie. Where's your purple today?
It's at home in my closet, and the funny thing is, I was going to wear purple today, and then John showed up in purple, and I thought, well, I should have worn purple. Purple is my favorite color. But I
Well,
see what happened here is the two of you got together this morning and had a
We wanted
little
to
conversation.
We wanted to brighten your day.
Yeah. Oh, well, I love it. Purple is great. Let's do something else that's fun. What is
Hey,
your?
you gotta ask John. You gotta ask John those questions. Chocolate, vanilla.
Okay, John. Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Cats or dogs?
Both.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
I knew the
Ton of
answer to that
coffee.
one. What is your favorite holiday?
That's a hard one.
You
Kinda
probably
bah
like
humbug.
them all.
I'm gonna say Christmas.
Okay.
I'll say Christmas.
That's everybody's
That's an easy
go-to.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kids. So.
Yeah.
Favorite color?
Blue.
That's what I figured.
Good answer.
Very cool.
Hondo blue.
Hondo
Woo, you better
blue.
be
Be
careful.
specific. on
Better
that.
be Hondo blue. What is your go-to karaoke song?
Anything in the 80s.
Okay.
I love the 80s.
Like
In
what
fact,
genre?
Def Leppard, AC/DC.
Okay.
It's good stuff.
That is good stuff.
Yeah.
What about you? Except for the song you were singing all day today, that Arizona. Yeah, all day.
I really don't sing, so except randomly
do.
in the
Show
office.
tunes.
No, yeah. Whatever randomly I'm singing that day, that's my karaoke. I break out into some Les Mis or something
Yeah.
like that every once in a while.
Yeah, The Greatest Showman.
Or The Greatest Showman, yes, I'm a fan of it.
Yeah.
So.
You know, I have never done karaoke before in my life. Do you know that? Is that crazy?
Have you?
I sing all the time in my car when
Yeah.
I'm driving. But
That's the best audience.
I know, but never have.
My wife loves karaoke. I mean, loves it. It's a major part of her culture. She's Filipina. And I remember I said, I want to sing to you. So when I first met her, so I was like, this lady obviously loves karaoke. I'm going to sing to her. And I sang, we got a private little karaoke deal, and I sang With Arms Wide Open or whatever. I think that's...
Oh,
it's
wow.
a-
Like great, yeah.
like
yeah,
great.
and it was so bad that she said, why did you do this? You know, I thought you were going to be good. This was terrible. My wife is very honest. And so I never sang karaoke again.
Yeah.
That was a one and done.
Yeah, that was it. But she does. She loves it. So
Yeah, she's a ton of fun.
yeah, much more fun than I am.
She's a lot more. She's a lot of fun. Not a lot more fun. You're fun.
I
You're,
like to talk about city stuff too much. So that's
yeah, you do like to geek out on stuff, but that's a good thing. You probably like to geek out on stuff too.
A little bit.
I could kind of tell you were going down
bit.
that science-y little
Yeah.
rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And my brain was like, I don't know where he's going. I hope he comes back. And you did, and it was great. I have another one. If you could have dinner with one historical figure, who would it be and why?
Oh, that's a good question. I would probably say Henry Ford.
Oh, wow.
He's amazing to me. If you study kind of the auto industry, he was the grandfather, right, of
Sure.
creating. He founded the Ford Motor Company, which is still in business today. I've studied a lot about Ford. Actually, they were one of the only. Remember when the bailout happened with the auto industry several years ago? They were the only company that didn't take the bailout. I thought that was
do
impressive.
remember that.
But he created the assembly line, and he created a lot of worker incentives too. And so I think it'd be fun to sit him down and pick his brain about how he created the assembly line, the Model T car, and now the innovation that's happened today. I think he would be blown away, but he was kind of the grandfather of that.
Sure.
So I think that would be fascinating.
That would be very cool.
Yeah.
What about you, John?
Napoleon.
Really?
Short, charismatic. I mean, got a lot to learn from
just
him,
like,
you know?
just.
That's what I'm shooting for.
Sure.
Minus taking over the world, but everything else.
Oh,
Oh, I love that.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Oh, we like you then.
We've got a lot of Star Wars fans in the city. Many of us
Star
have
Wars.
Several Star Wars related items in the office.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you fit right in.
Excellent.
You can office with us anytime.
All right. Okay.
Well, thank you again so much for visiting with us. It was a ton of fun. Thanks for tuning in to our very first Leaders and Locals podcast. It's only going to get more fun from here on out. We are going to talk business stuff, so thank you for giving us all of the information that we need for sure. But we are planning on having tons of fun. We'll be back again next month. Be ready, July 8th. This project's going to kick off, and it's going to be great. And it's going to go by so fast you won't even know it happened.
Remember, we have pickleball courts.
Ooh!
So, get your paddles ready, and feel free to send me an email, and we'll my wife and I will challenge you to a pickleball duel.
Awesome. And speaking of pickleball, so the one pickleball court is out at City Park number 3, which is also Dinosaur Park. But there are 2 more about ready to open, so to speak, over at TA Lopez Park. And we've already ordered portable nets for those, so you can come to the rec center, get those nets, and it's under the pavilion. It's going to be so nice and cool.
Nice and cool.
We got you, pickleball players. That's for sure.
I have one final question. Who's the best orthopedic surgeon here for people that play pickleball?
Me.
A lot of injuries.
Yes.
Are there?
Yes, there are.
Believe it or not.
Yes.
Do you play?
I do actually. I'm part of a pickleball league up in North Texas, and I play with a lot of older people in their 70s and 80s, and it's hilarious because the topic of conversation is who's the best orthopedic surgeon in the area.
That's
So a lot of blown out knees.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I understand that.
Very competitive.
Very competitive. I've never seen
Then I
these.
guess I better get to playing.
Yeah. Yep.
Strange that I've never played. I love
It's a
that
ball.
you play.
It's a blast.
It's a ball.
blast. Yeah. It's a ball.
Thank you again for joining us.
Tangent, sorry.
Thank
Have
you.
a great afternoon. Thanks again.